Hello there and good morning. Let's go ahead and start our work on another session together. So you remember we started this series of PYQs. तो साथ मिलकर के हम इनमें PYQs की यार प्रैक्टिस करते हैं जो कि गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड. These PYQs are basically what? That's the gold standard of the entire preparation, right? So if you've gone through PYQs and you start getting them right consistently, that puts you in an amazing place to get great scores from. So if you have any questions, go ahead and please ask and then we will check. Somebody was sending a lot of messages repeatedly and I think team has looked into that. So just try to avoid spamming. At the same time, if you have a question, please go ahead and ask. Today appearing for NMAT, any tips? Abhinav, the only thing that I'll say is all the best and make sure that you pace yourself well. It is important for us to attempt all the questions. That's going to be the key for us there. Okay, what else? Akash says there is a lag. Akash, I have the video streaming right in front of me. There is no lag at my end. I am able to see things smoothly. So no problems there. So maybe it could be a local thing. So all questions of PYQs के होंगे. बिल्कुल यार, आज तो हम PYQs ही करने वाले हैं. So that's the goal, yes. हाँ, so हमने स्टार्ट किया था यार कुछ हफ्ते पहले ये सीरीज अपना, तो उसी पे हम काम करने वाले हैं आज भी. So that's the goal, yes. Okay. Baki, you've seen that we keep bringing in a very healthy mix. So for instance, Surana sir took a really long DILR session yesterday. Remember? And a day before that we were on. So this channel and our sister channel both, if you are regular on both, I'm sure you're getting tons and tons of practice. These days are too much of anxiety, बहुत डर लग रहा है. अरे कोई बात नहीं, सब नॉर्मल है यार. अगर if the results matter to you, it is understandable that you would be concerned about it. Okay. 9 hours. हाँ, कल सुराना सर ने बड़ी मेहनत की यार, तो लगे रहे. ठीक है, चलता है. कुछ कुछ चीजें आप एल्गोरिदम में भी तो चाहिए होती है ऐसी. तो ओके, सो हेक्टिक लग रहा है. ध्रुव, हेक्टिक तो नहीं लगना चाहिए for a fairly straightforward reason, and that is when it comes to these exams, what you have done over the course of the last year is what is going to matter. These last week or 10 days will have some impact, but they will not have an outsized impact on your preparation. So 10 days prep is going to be 10 days worth, right? And considering that most of you have already gone on to put in more than 200 days of preparation by now, I'm sure you are in a very safe space. So let's go ahead and let's then start so that Gaurav sir can also join in on time. So this is the round 1 of our passage 3. I'm saying passage 3 because I took you through the first part last week. So I'm just continuing for there, and we are working on CAT 24 slot 3. Once you're done reading it, let me know and I'll take you to the next slide. The entire passage is split or divided into 2. And after that, we will take it up and move forward. Ankit, as long as you have filled the right caste in your current form, and that is also the caste which is there on your certificate, absolutely no problems. Dhruv, bilkul kar de, ISB Hyderabad mein no problem, it's a good program. Mayank, there is a video that was already uploaded about, I think, the last 14 days tips, and we'll also put up something for what you should do in the last 7 days. Don't worry. फिटनेस ज्ञान ठाकुर, सर आई डिड नॉट टेक अ शावर टिल टुडे. भाई मतलब जब से पैदा हुए तब से नहीं नहाए या आज अभी तक नहीं लिया? इरू खान, भाई मेरी मुंबई आने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसके लिए मैं हिम्मत यहीं से दे दूंगा तुम्हें. आई कैन एक्चुअली सेंड इट टू यू फ्रॉम हियर, डोंट यू वरी. Oh, but if any of you, by the way, is in Hyderabad, then we can catch up. I think I should be there on the 4th, but let us see. I'll keep you guys in the loop. Okay, so have we managed to read this? Shall we move? So let's go through the passage and I'll take care of all these other questions later. So last 10 seconds for this slide. Considering that I was talking in between, I'm giving you a little extra time. Okay, so here is the next slide for you. Okay, and here comes the question. Go ahead and share your answer. You can refer to the passage by going back to in the video, and whatever answer, whichever options you share are the ones that I am going to discuss. Okay, so this is round one. In case you are new, we solve passages in my sessions in 2 rounds. First, you go ahead and attempt it, and second, where we work on it together and I take care of your doubts. Okay, Jyoti, that was quick. Super fast, in fact. Let's see if others also pitch in and share their answers. Dhruv, when it comes to PYQs, there is always this risk of people having gone through passages, but fair warning, I told you it is a PYQ. You knew which particular year, so I'm assuming that at least minimized the number of people who are joining in. Fitness, in that case, you can go back, pause, and then join in. Maybe you can skip a question. So I must have gone on for around. So let's just leave it for a minute more and then we will start. Okay, so now that the time is up, let's go ahead and ask you the next question. I think mostly A with a single or one or two answers, as B is what I've jotted down. So let's go ahead and work on this one now. 90 seconds and we will shift. So 90 seconds, this timer will not run for its entire duration. Oh, it is 11:11. Jaldi se wish mang lo. I've seen this social media trend. So I thought I'll remind you. Okay, so तब तक अपन आंसर्स देख रहे हैं. Okay, so we're getting D from a lot of us. All right, so we have another answer. ये क्या चल रहा है बीच में? एक क्वेश्चन स्किप हो गया क्या हमारा 14th? How did that happen? So you did 15th first apparently. 14th skip करा क्या हमने? हाँ, आई थिंक बीच में एक क्वेश्चन स्किप हो गया यार, जल्दी जल्दी में. सो चलो, ये रहा क्वेश्चन, बाद में ही सही. सो हियर इज द नेक्स्ट वन. That's okay. Here is the sequence does not matter. Just go ahead, attempt it here. Almost a minute with this question. Kuldeep, A for Ojla, huh? That's a new one. Is Karan Ojla that popular nowadays? I did not realize it. Okay, so since we had that other question here, we'll skip over to 16th directly. Here you go. This was one of those relatively trickier questions. Okay, and we are getting B. We're getting C. Any other option that you want me to consider? CSS सबके 4 on 4. I don't know. Let's see. We are there. So let's go ahead and start discussing this particular passage now. So first up, as usual, we go ahead and read it. So, and thereafter we will go ahead and discuss the questions. There is a lot of consensus happening, Sia. So that's interesting. So let's start. There is a group in the space community who view the solar system not as an opportunity to expand human potential, but as a nature preserve. So we're saying there is a group which thinks of the solar system as a nature preserve. Now, what do we mean by this? You've seen that we have a forest preserve, etc. So, preserve is an area which you preserve, which you save, which you do not allow others to come in and use and vandalize and contaminate. So, they are saying that for some people, solar system is a preserve. We are not supposed to mess around with it. Forever the provenance of an elite group of scientists and their sanitary robotic probes. So saying that, okay, so in a preserve, you can only go there carefully. So they're saying leave the solar system for scientists and their robotic probes, and those probes are sanitary, that is hygienic. They do not contaminate or vandalize the place. Then these planetary protection advocates call for avoiding harmful contamination of celestial bodies. अच्छा, ये typo रह गया. Celestial bodies. So they say that we should not contaminate the celestial bodies, that is, we should not contaminate those other bodies that we see in the space. So under this regime, NASA incurs great expense sterilizing robotic probes in order to prevent the contamination of entirely theoretical biospheres. So going by these advocates, NASA, whichever robots that NASA sends, is sterilized. That is, they have no bacteria, and that obviously leads to more expenditure. And why do they do that? They do that in order to prevent the contamination of entirely theoretical biosphere. A biosphere is a sphere, not a literal sphere, but an area where life exists. And we are saying that those biospheres, that existence of life is basically theoretical. So we just say that yes, it is possible for life to exist in those areas on paper, but we have no real evidence for it. Okay. So transporting bacteria would matter if Mars were the vital world once imagined by astronomers who mistook optical illusions for canals. So here the author's opinion comes in. He says, yeah, that okay, you would care for the bacteria had Mars really been an actual biosphere. But astronomers mistakenly thought it is a biosphere because they felt that there are canals, etc. Obviously, had that been the case, nobody wants to expose Martians to measles, but sadly, robotic exploration reveals a bleak, rusted landscape, lacking oxygen and flooded with radiation ready to sterilize any earthly microbes. This says, I mean, if you think of Mars, you would of course want to care for the living organisms there, but the reality is that there are no living organisms there. And even if there were, the atmosphere on Mars is such that the bacteria, etc. from Earth cannot even survive there. Then simple life might exist underground or down at the bottom of a deep canyon, but it has been very hard to find with robots. The upsides from human explorations and development of Mars clearly outweigh the welfare of purely speculative Martian fungi. Once again, we're just using that, okay, in case they have some kind of life form. So if humans go there and develop the area, then the benefits far outweigh the theoretical risk to their theoretical biospheres. The other likely targets of human exploration, development and settlement are Moon and asteroids exist in a desiccated. What is desiccated? Desiccated is dried out, where there is no water. Radiation soaked realm of hard vacuum and extreme temperature variations that would kill nearly everything or nearly anything. It is also important to note, so in the Martian case, we said that the atmosphere is such that it can kill things from the Earth. Here it says that it would kill almost anything, whether it belongs to the earth or the space, does not even matter. It is also important to note that many international competitors will ignore the demands of these protection extremists in any case. So notice NASA is incurring these expenditures, but then NASA is US based, right? So if you talk about the other countries which are non-US based, they may ignore these demands altogether. And then there is a Chinese example where they sent a terrarium to the moon. A terrarium is a small ecosystem where you have various things already, particularly plants, and they germinated a plant seed with, unsurprisingly, no protest from its own scientific community. Its own is Chinese scientific community. Then, in contrast, when it was recently revealed that a researcher has surreptitiously, secretly smuggled super resilient microscopic tardigrades, it's a kind of insect, very tiny insect, aboard the ill-fated Israeli Beresheet lunar probe, a firestorm was unleashed within the space community. So China, nothing happened from their community. In this case, international community was definitely against it. NASA's previous human exploration efforts made no serious attempt at sterility. So in the past, even US did not do it. And when they did visit the moon, they did leave it dirty. In the Mars exploration, they're promising to do better, but then if they do it, they have these dual struggles, right? They need to bring their astronauts back. At the same time, they also need to bring all their garbage back. And they're saying that it will destroy their budget. Getting future astronauts off Mars is enough of a challenge without trying to tote weeks of waste along as well. Extension. A reasonable compromise is to continue on the course laid out by the US government and the National Research Council, which proposed a system of zones on Mars. So here he's saying that instead of bringing everything back here, just divide it into zones. There is a zone where people stay. There is a zone where you explore things scientifically, and there can be maybe a zone where you exploit the resources. So this approach will minimize contamination. Mars presents a stark choice of diverging human futures. We can turn inward, pursuing ever more limited futures while we await whichever natural or man-made disaster will eradicate our species. So this entire part, it says is that basically we can either think along these lines or think of the humans on the earth and how exploring all these other places can someday benefit us. So at the end of the day, the author argues that thinking of the humans on the earth is superior to thinking about all those theoretical life forms elsewhere. So if I look at it, this particular passage, I think here, Anand, I would probably peg it as one of those relatively easier to read passages as far as the cat goes. Of course, there is no metric using which we can say that this passage is universally easy or universally difficult. But then the truth is, if I compare it to the other cat passages, I would call it relatively easy to read. Passage 3, slide 2, explain start. Acha, I thought that you're asking me to explain it. So this, yes, this talks about science and technology, a theme that the cat people have visited multiple times over the course of last 5-6 years, right? So when it comes to the questions, let me just keep your answers with me. Where did I leave your pad? Here it is. So for 14th, practically everybody gave A as the answer, which is also correct. So the moment you look at tone-based questions, how do you solve it? What is your approach? When it comes to answering tone-based questions, how do you solve it? So here is the first paragraph, the entire first slide basically, right? So that's your first paragraph. When it comes to tone-based questions, what is your approach? Sakshi, because I don't feel cold exactly. Oh, eliminate extreme options and all that. Let's see. So when it comes to tone, I know that tone talks about the emotion or the attitude of the author towards something. So my simple way is, I first and foremost ask myself the author's tone is positive, negative or neutral. Positive, negative, neutral. So the author, so this entire paragraph talks about some people asking to ensure that we don't contaminate space. Now the author says that they want to save theoretical biospheres. So it is not even real. And he says it would matter if Mars actually had life, but in reality, they do not have life. And then it says the upsides clearly outweigh the welfare of purely speculative Martian fungi. And then he says that these places are also places where things would not even survive anyway. And then towards the end, he says it is not even universal. So on the whole, can I say that the author's tone is negative? So if the author's tone is negative, and forget the words, if it's negative, I see skeptical is negative, indifferent is neutral. Equivocal is when the author has not been able to make up his mind whether to support it or to go against it. He has given points for both the sides, but has the author done that? No, he is very clearly negative. And then approving is positive. So in this case, we did not even have to think much, and that is why we could very safely choose A as our answer. So whenever you solve a tone-based question, start with positive, negative, neutral. And how do you determine positive, negative, neutral? You look at the choice of words and the ideas that are shared by the author, but particularly the choice of words which guides you. So A was absolutely spot on. 14th, the contrasting reactions to the Chinese and Israeli contaminations of lunar space. So there were contrasting reactions, right? In the case of the Chinese, there was no reaction from the Chinese scientific community. In the case of Israel, there were adverse reactions from the global space community. So that is what we know. So what does it prove? It indicates that national scientists may have different sensitivities to issues of biosphere protection. Should we choose that as our answer? It can be. So in the case of China, of course, they have a different sensitivity as compared to the rest of the world. So this can, particularly this may, definitely makes A right. And that's what a lot of you actually went on to choose too. But then B, these are evidence of China's reasonable approach towards space contamination. Now this is something that we cannot get from the passage. These reactions are valid as the contamination of the lunar environment from animal sources is far greater than from plants. Irrelevant. There is no comparison made between plant contaminants and animal contaminants in the passage. Then D, they reveal global biases prevalent. Now we could have called them global biases had these reactions been global in nature. So in the case of China, we know that the Chinese community did not react. What about the rest of them? We don't know. And in the case of Israel, it was only the space community which reacted. Does the space community reflect the entire world? No. So that makes it a generalization, and therefore even this gets ruled out, and thus the answer that you chose was absolutely spot on. And then 15th, the author is unlikely to disagree with any of the following except. Now you notice three, I see three negatives here. So let's just cancel out two. Let's accept and un. So the author is likely to disagree with one of the following. So out of these four, three he will agree with, or in other words, three are going to be consistent with what is said in the passage, and one is going to be inconsistent. So the one that is inconsistent is the one that we will go ahead and mark as our answer. So let us check. So you guys gave me D as your answer. Let's check. The exorbitant costs of continuing to keep the space environment pristine may be unsustainable. This is something that the author will agree with. We are looking for something that he will disagree with. So that gets ruled out. The proposal for a zonal segregation of the Martian landscape into regions for different purposes. The author himself proposed this, so he obviously is going to agree with it. So even this goes out. That while NASA's earlier missions were not ideal in their approach to space contamination, they likely did no grave damage. Yes, he says that they were not ideal. At the same time, he does say that there was no real harm done, right? First paragraph. So this is also something that is consistent with the passage, where space contamination should be minimized until the possibility of life on the astronomical body being explored is ruled out. The author is against it. In the last few lines of the first paragraph is very clearly stated that the benefits of these explorations far outweigh such concerns. So this is something that the author is going to disagree with, and that is why this is the answer. Now you notice in this question, even the options cannot be termed very close, and therefore it became easy for us. So a lot of us, I don't know why we have this in our mind that, oh, cat is difficult, cat is this, cat is that. The truth is, easy passage, and the questions also were on the relatively easier side. So if I look at the very first question, 13th, I mean, there is no real closeness to the answer choices per se. Similarly, if I look at 15th, there is no real closeness. The only catch here is the question stem, where if you can rule out except and un, I think this will make it very easy for you. Okay, and then here comes the last one. The author mentions all of the following reasons to dismiss concerns about contaminating Mars except. So I'd say this is probably the only question that I will label as slightly tricky. So what all has the author mentioned to dismiss concerns about contaminating Mars? Mostly given in the first paragraph. We'll see earlier explorations have already contaminated pristine space environments. Given the previous ventures, etc. Then the use of similar probes and astronomical bodies like the moon have had little effect on the environment. That's specific to moon. But he is not extrapolating it to Mars in this particular passage. So if I were to revisit it, let me just refer to the passage on my slides, and then since all of you have managed to get this right, so if I talk about A, the passage does discuss how earlier missions did not enforce sterility and already introduced contamination, implying that the approach that we have at the moment is perhaps unnecessary. So in the past it has happened, but it did not damage space. So he's implying through this that this insistence on keeping everything sterilized, pristine is unnecessary. So it does go on to support his argument. Whereas if I look at B, the passage does not go on to claim that robotic probes had little impact. Okay. It focuses on human missions. It does not really talk about those sterilized robotic probes. He has used human missions to make his argument. The probes have not been brought in to make that particular argument. And since the other two have been ruled out by most of you, I think we can stop here and move on. So here is the next question for you. Sentence placement question, what's your take? Go ahead. This is so I told you that there have been a couple of sentence placement questions that have been tricky in the exam. Otherwise, mostly they've been easy. So I'll probably put this one into that bucket of tricky questions. So why don't you go ahead and give it a shot in case you haven't solved it, and then we will talk. Okay, so we are getting B, we are getting C, we are getting D. So a lot of different answers. I think, oh, I found B to be easy to eliminate. And once we look at it in terms of ideas, I'll be able to show why. So I think out of all the 4 blanks, B was the easiest to eliminate. Okay, so let's start. So when I look at our lost sentence, it talks about a picture. So taken outside the village of Trang Bang on June 8, 1972, the picture captured the trauma and indiscriminate violence of a conflict that claimed by some estimates 1 million or more civilian lives. So if I look at it in terms of this idea, I know that it talks about a picture. So it tells us when this picture was taken and the implications of this picture, or the utility. I shouldn't even say implication, but I can go on and say and the importance of this picture, right? It captures the trauma and indiscriminate violence of a conflict that claimed 1 million or more civilian lives. So in a way, if I combine this, I can say that this gives you a bit of a context about the picture. So let's start. The horrifying photograph of children fleeing a deadly napalm attack has become a defining image not only of the Vietnam War but the 20th century. So this introduces us to a photograph. It says that it's a photograph. It shows children fleeing a deadly napalm attack. Napalm is a substance that burns rather rapidly, and if you use it at any particular place, so basically now imagine that you are attacking your enemy soldiers and the soldiers have dug themselves up in trenches. Your bullets cannot get into those trenches. So what can you do? You use things like napalm bombs, napalm attacks, where the fire can rain down on the trenches and burn everything that it comes in contact with and can flush the combatants out. Now they are combatants. There the use case can still be justified, but using that for children, imagine how gruesome this can be. Huh? So horrifying photograph. And then look at what is next. Dark smoke billowing behind them. Children. The young subjects' faces are painted with a mixture of terror, pain, and confusion. So this is basically a description of the photograph. It tells you what that pic is all about. Then soldiers from the South Vietnamese Army's 25th Division follow helplessly behind. Once again, description. So how do we put context in between description? When a blank and then the picture was officially titled The Terror of War, but the photo is better known by the nickname given to naked 9-year-old at its center, Napalm Girl. So this gives you the title, and the title is The Terror of War. So if you look at it, you introduce a photograph, you'd obviously go ahead and talk about what you see in that photograph. Now, I can either show you the photograph and then talk about it, but if I can't show you the photograph, if I'm only using words, then obviously I'll have to describe the photograph for you before I do anything else, and that is what makes first blank get ruled out as well. So now third and fourth, I mean frankly, even if you don't put anything at any of these 2 blanks, there is no harm done. But since I do have to put it in, to put this sentence into one of these 2 blanks, let's check. This talks about the context, and this context also introduces the fact that people lost 1 million or more civilian lives. And if I put it at 3, it goes on to tell you why it is officially titled The Terror of War. So this introduces the themes of terror being perpetrated, or losses being imposed on the civilian population in huge numbers. So if I put it here, then this title the terror of war gets justified. If I put it at 4, there is no connection. Right? So therefore it is better to put it at 3, but this 3 versus 4 is something that could have been a little bit of an ambiguity. But then most of you, I think almost everybody, has managed to pick the third blank as the right one. So we can then rest here. Otherwise I could have chosen to look at something more nuanced. So let's go ahead and check out our next question, which is your paragraph odd one out. Shoot. Okay, so loads of 3s, quite a few 2s. Let's see what you go on to choose. Right, so there we go. Let's check. Part of the appeal of forecasting is not just that it seems to work, but that you do not seem to need specialized expertise to succeed at it. So if you want to forecast, if you want to predict future, you don't need to be an expert in a particular domain in order to predict. And that is part of the appeal of forecasting. Okay, then the tight connection between forecasting and building a model of the world helps explain why so much of the early interest in the idea came from the intelligence community. I mean, if you want to forecast, if you want to predict, for example, if I want to predict rain, on what basis do I do that? I will need to understand all the different factors that contribute to rain. I need to figure out the changes and the early signs that can help me predict rain. And it's only when my knowledge of those early signs and the different components is accurate that my forecasting is likely to work. So in a way, you need to build a scientific model of the process of rain. And that model is closely connected with forecasting. People who have the right model are also going to forecast better. So that's basically it. So because of this connection, the intelligence community was interested in it. So they probably fancied building a model. Okay, then this was true. So that's one clue. Even though the latter had access to classified intelligence. Then one frequently cited study found that accurate forecasters' predictions of geopolitical events, when aggregated using standard scientific methods, were more accurate than the forecasts of members of the US intelligence community who answered the same questions in a confidential prediction market. So you notice. So the latter here can refer to the US intelligence community. So they had access to classified intelligence. Even then, the accurate forecasters were superior. So 4 and 3 are getting connected because of these two clues. The aggregated opinions of non-experts doing forecasting have proven to be a better guide to the future than the aggregated opinions of experts. So now if I start connecting all of these, I realize that 1, 3, 4 and 5 are all talking about comparing non-experts with experts in the domain of forecasting. Whereas second merely talks about why the intelligence community is fascinated with forecasting. So you realize, yes, there is a similarity in topic, but 1, 3, 4 and 5 can be put under the same theme, whereas 2 cannot be put under that theme. And that is why 2 should be the odd one out. So you remember, we always think in terms of the theme. And Dhruv, in odd one outs, you'll not be able to form a paragraph all the time. So there are two problems with that. A, you won't be able to do that all the time, and second, even if you could, it will take you longer. So our first instinct should be to think in terms of the theme. So for instance, the moment I saw these two getting connected, I just saw what these talk about, right? Experts versus non-experts. So 1 and 5 belong to that same theme, whereas 2 does talk about forecasting, does talk about intelligent community, but does not fall under the same aspect of the topic, and thus is the odd one out. Okay, here is the next one. Another sentence placement question. Let's see what your answer to this one is. And we're almost there. Let's see. The time's up. What have you guys gone on to choose? So we're getting 2, we're getting 3. Let's see. अब इसमें तो बहुत I'd say relatively आसान था. आसान इसलिए था कि when you look at these expenditures, if you do not put anything here, what do these expenditures refer to? I mean, come to think of it, there is a very obvious gap in the schematics of the paragraph here. You don't have a noun for these expenditures. And considering that you don't have a noun for these expenditures, and these expenditures are mentioned in a lost sentence, you know that it has to be put in here. Otherwise, you'd not be able to figure it out. Right? And that is why the answer here is C. Maybe you can put it elsewhere and you can justify the flow, etc. But here it is a necessity. And elsewhere it is going to be a luxury. Okay. And here is the last VA question for you before we move over to our passage. उप्स, अरे टाइमर को सामने कैसे छोड़ दिया मैंने, ध्यान ही नहीं रहा भाई। साथ साथ क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने बैठ गया, मैं याद नहीं रहता ना जब किया था काफी पहले, तब क्या किया था। हटा दिया हटा दिया, इसको इनफैक्ट हटा देता हूं, जब तक 15-20 आंसर नहीं आते तब तक अब वेट करते हैं। कुलदीप बोल रहा रील्स मत देखो भाई, मैं फोन नहीं इस्तेमाल करता हूं क्लास के साथ साथ। है सावन के अंधे हरा ही हरा नजर आता है तुम्हें हर जगह। क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने लग गया था मैं साथ साथ, मुझे भी तो सॉल्व करने पड़ेंगे भाई। नहीं तो कैसे होएगा, याद थोड़ी रहता है। मैथ की तरह फॉर्मूला तो है नहीं यार अपने पास। चलिए, सो लेट्स गो अहेड एंड डिस्कस इट देन। लेट्स चेक। सो ज्यादातर लोगों ने ए चूज किया है। एनी अदर आंसर, एनी अदर ऑप्शन दैट यू वांट मी टू डिस्कस, और एनी एम्बिगिटी दैट यू सॉ जहां पे लगाओ यार आई एम नॉट श्योर व्हाई दैट ऑप्शन शुड बी एलिमिनेटेड। नो, सो आई थिंक ए इट इज. Since everybody has managed to get this right, we can pause here. And this was a, okay, B as well. So I see a B too. So a couple of answers as B. Let's check. A new framework of rules and procedures for regulating the most recent research emerging from biotechnology is urgently needed to keep up with this rapidly changing discipline. Is the entire discipline changing? Let's check. Humans have managed to tweak the underlying biology of various plants and animals to produce some kind of crops and microbes. But regulating these is complicated. So this B does not capture this idea that it is complicated. All it says is that we need it because the discipline is changing. The passage does not merely talk about we need it. The passage also goes ahead and talk about the fact that it is urgently needed. That it is, it is complicated, and that complicated bit is something that we needed to focus on. Okay, D, let's look at D, the mercurial nature of biological entities. Are we talking about all biological entities here, or are we talking about these new ones that we create? And then mercurial is where there is no rhyme and reason. And this mercurial nature calls for scientists to shape the regulation governing emerging tech with regular calibration to handle variations in the field. Once again, it misses out on this very important idea that it is complicated. So when I look at B, when I look at D, both of these have these issues. Okay, so that is why A was the best option. Let's go ahead and dive into our passage now. So here is your next passage. Go ahead, read it. Once you're done reading it, let me know and I'll take you over to the next slide. Okay, so here is the next slide. Go ahead and continue. After this slide, we will have the questions. Okay, so I hope that people are done. Himanshu, as I said, yeah, when it comes to PYQs, unless I bring a fresh passage, I can guarantee that only a fresh passage can guarantee that you haven't met this before. PYQs, there are no guarantees here. Okay, so done. So here is the question. But in my defense, you knew that it is CAT PYQs and that too, which particular year, which slot. So question number 21. What's your take on this? Let's see. So I'll jot down your answers so that I know which ones to discuss. And in case there is any confusion, you can always ask and I'll cover it. Wow, super. Answers are coming in super quick. अच्छा चल ठीक है अंकुर noted. I'll ensure that I cover this. Last 30 seconds. Harsh, I'll do that for sure. Until then, maybe try taking a guess. At least try to eliminate a couple of the options whose meanings are known to you. Okay, so with that, let's move over to our next question. There you go. Akansha, I'll do that, of course. Okay, so loads and loads of C trickling in. There is a lot of consensus around C. That's good to see. And here is the next one. Yes, Paridhi, we are in fact solving CAT 24 slot 3 in this session. Okay, so thankfully C versus D happening in question 23. मेरे पास ना, I have something to do apparently in this question now. So let's see. Okay, this was a tricky question. I know where we are coming from really. So, and here comes the last question for us. There you go. All right, so I'm getting A from quite a few of you. Anything else? Mayank, that goes on to prove that, I mean, CAT can be easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and start then. So beginning with the passage. What did I do? So Moutai has been the global booze sensation of the decade. So the moment you read this, you know that you're talking about a liquor brand. So global booze sensation of the decade. A bottle of its Flying Fairy. Once again, you notice the capital letters, you know that we're talking about a proper noun. Flying Fairy, which sold in the 1980s for the equivalent of $1, now retails for $400. So somebody was asking me about the price. Here it is. So Moutai's listed shares have soared by almost 600% in the past 5 years, outpacing the likes of Amazon. So far, what do you see? You see information, right? If about a particular brand and a particular product of that brand. It does this while disregarding every Western marketing mantra. So it is disregarding every Western marketing mantra. You've heard of this movie called Kantara, which did surprisingly well in the North India. So people said that, oh, these are the kind of movies that others don't watch and this won't work. But then it defied the predictions of all the experts and became a hit. And every year we see one or two such movies, right? So this brand is also doing that same thing, that there are these Western people who say that in order to be successful in terms of marketing, a company needs to follow this particular recipe. They need to engage in these kind of things. But Moutai did not follow any of those things. In fact, it disregarded most of those things. So what all things? It is not global, so regional, has meager digital sales. I mean, nowadays we ask every brand to be available online, but here it is not even there, and does not appeal to millennials. Ooh. The youngsters basically. So millennials is that generation which forms the bulk of the working population, or the young ones who have started work or just about work. So it scores pitifully on environmental, social and governance measures. So if you evaluate this company on its environmental effect, you will realize that it is not very environmental friendly. It is not very social in the sense that, again, it is not available on all the social media platforms, etc. maybe. And governance measures, I mean, even if you look at how this company is governed, you'd see that it is not going to score very high on that either. So in the Boy Scout world of Western business, now Boy Scouts are known for their ethical behavior, their moral integrity. That's their mantra, right? So saying the Western business rates morality and ethics fairly highly. They would want a company to take care of the environment. They would want the governance to be very transparent. But then if they look at this company, they'd be like, what is happening here? They did not like this company. Moutai owes its intoxicating success to three factors, not all of them easy to emulate. So despite these things, why did it succeed? First, profits from Chinese nationalism. Moutai is known as the national liquor. Nationalism sells. It was used to raise spirits and disinfect wounds in Mao's Long March. So, I mean, like every old country, China also has a long history. So what happened in China was that, that nowadays, China is ruled by the Communist Party, CCP, Xi Jinping. But it was not always the case. Even if you go back by just a century, you would see a country which was plagued by factions and warlords. So one fine day, the CCP guys and the nationalist movement in China, they decided to come together to stand against the warlords. But then something happened, and those nationalists and CCP guys came at loggerheads, and those nationalists started purging China of CCP. So that is when Mao led its troops, its people across a long, how long? We are talking about approximately 10,000 kilometers long treacherous terrain towards safety. So they moved to a new place, built a base there, all on foot, mind you. And from there, they eventually managed to make a comeback where they today are ruling the country, and with an iron fist at that. So this long march is considered a very important historical chapter for China, and particularly because the victor also rules the country today, you realize the importance given to it, particularly in propaganda. So this, because they have this association with Long March, which is an important chapter in their history, the feeling of nationalism is stronger. On top of that, it was also the favorite booze of their premiers. Then its centuries old craftsmanship is a source of national pride, another factor added to nationalism. It also claims to be hangover proof. I mean, normally liquors are notorious. If you drink them next morning, if you drink them excessively, next morning you wake up with a splitting headache. and weakness, but they say that if you drink this, it won't happen, which would make it an invention to rival gunpowder. Now, gunpowder is considered a very big invention of our times, right? It has changed the course of the history, and they're saying hangover proof, it's that important. Then, second, it chose to serve China super rich rather than its middle class. So, this is the first reason, connection with or link with nationalism. The second is it focuses on China's super rich rather than the middle class. So markets are, so there are a lot of people who compete in the middle class market, but the country's premium market is massive and still less crowded with prestige brands than advanced economies. Then Moutai is to these well-heeled drinkers what vintage champagne is to the rest of the world. Third, Moutai looks beyond affluent millennials and digital natives. So it does not target millennials and digital natives, as in the youngsters basically. It is focusing on the elderly and the middle-aged. It found, so this market is just as lucrative. Okay, and then there is another factor of the single one-child policy, etc., etc. So here is a summary. Moutai has succeeded thanks to nationalism, elitism, focusing on the upper strata, and ageism, focusing on the elderly and the middle-aged and ignoring the young. In other words, not in spite of this unholy trinity, but it faces risks. The government is its largest shareholder, so risks. Government is largest shareholder and a meddlesome one. So government meddles in the pricing. Okay, and is not allowing to increase it. And it is also planning to establish its own sales channel. In the long run, its biggest risk may be millennials as they grow older. Health concerns, work-life balance, and the desire for more wholesome pursuits than binge drinking may curb this drinking culture. So that's the passage. Now let's go ahead and look at the questions. So first up, if two things are synonymical, then it means that they are similar, or in this particular case, you can call them interchangeable. You can replace one thing by the other. So here, when you say it would make it an invention to rival gunpowder, are they interchangeable or similar? No, we are just comparing them on one particular property. The products per se are not similar. You can remove it. What is the meaning of the word substantive? Substantive is something that is rooted in reality. Something that has a firm basis in reality and is therefore important. Now, in this particular case, a liquor being hangover proof is as important as gunpowder. It's a comparison, yes, but does this comparison have some factual basis? Is there a fact that goes on to support it? No, you're just comparing two different things over one characteristic. There are no facts here. Literal basically means something which is real, something which is actual. So is this actually an invention as important as gunpowder? No, it's more of a hyperbole or an exaggeration here. It is not literal, but it is definitely metaphorical. In metaphor, what do? You compare two things for a particular property. So for instance, if we look at somebody and say, ye to gadha hai, he's an ass. Is he literally a donkey? No, it's just a metaphor. You're comparing them over some quality. So that's the exact same thing that is happening here, and that is why the answer is D. Had you known the meaning of the word substantive and literal, I think these options would have been easy for you to rule out. Okay, let's look at the next one now. In the context of the passage, we can infer that to succeed in the liquor industry in China, a marketing firm must consider all of the following factors affecting the Chinese liquor market, except that. So three of these factors are stated as factors relevant for success in the Chinese market. One is not given. Everybody has chosen C. Let us check. The competition for winning over the middle class is very stiff. True according to the passage. So let's remove it. Government may control the pricing of the product. True. So let's remove it. There is money to be made from marketing to the middle class. No. In fact, there are immense challenges going by the last 4 or 5 lines of the first slide. There are few competitors to meet the demands of high-end liquor consumers. Last sentence of the first paragraph once again supports it. So overall, an easy question. Okay, then moving over to the next one. So your answer here is C versus D. This is the only one where there was a difference of opinion. Everybody ruled out A and B. So which one of the following is both a reason for their success as well as a possible threat to that success? So notice that there are two filters that we have here. It should contribute to their success and it should also be a threat. So it's appeal to the rich. Is it given as a reason for their success as well as a possible threat? But I think A and B, all of you have ruled out, so I'm just ignoring those. We'll save some time. It's appeal to the older age group. Is it cited as a reason? Yes. Is it cited as a threat? Yes, because eventually these people will die. They'll be replaced by those who are young today. And if they grow up and they don't drink, what will happen? If the culture changes, you lose on the business. Government involvement in its business, it is cited as a possible threat, but is it given as a reason for their success? Is government involvement a reason for their success? Their reason was nationalism, elitism, ageism. Where is government involvement coming in as a factor of success? And that is why we could rule out D and choose C as our answer. Okay, and here comes the last one. In the context of the passage, it is most likely that the author refers to Moutai's marketing strategy as the unholy trinity. So see, this particular expression has its basis in Christianity. So in Christianity, you have a holy trinity. You have God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So they say that, okay, how about an opposite? So instead of God, you have Satan, you have Antichrist, and you have some kind of, let us say, a bad ghost, a bad spirit. So say an unholy trinity is something which is impure. An unholy trinity is which will make things impossible. So why is he referring it to as the unholy trinity? If you go back to the relevant part of the passage, you would notice that it is called the unholy trinity because the Western marketing mind thinks of this as bad or harmful or the opposite. Right? So this is where in that context A is turning out to be right. B, the author is not talking about liquor as a sin good and therefore will not work. So that takes it beyond the scope. It exposes the firm to long-term risks. I mean, how would successful marketing take you to long-term risks? And even if it does, you'd not call it the unholy trinity. It is not because the marketing cannot last in the long run. The reason is evaluating it using the Western marketing strategies. And then I think most of you have managed to rule that out as well. So the correct answer here is indeed option A. So that's my part. So I will stop here. You know where you can reach me after the session. And before I sign out, here is something for you. A wise man gets more from his enemies than a fool does from his friends. Now, it's not literally meant to be about enemies and friends for you. For me, the purpose here is to remind you of the questions that you get right and the questions that you get wrong. So the questions that you get wrong, if you're wise, you will learn more from those questions than you would do from the questions that you end up getting right. So make sure that you make those errors, make those mistakes count by focusing on where they are coming from. So that's it from me today. Let's take a break of 5 minutes. It's till 12:21 by my watch. So let's meet Gaurav sir at 12:26 with his session on DI and LR. So just go grab a bottle of water and then maybe a cup of tea and then join him at 12:27. So I'll just ask him to start at 12:27 then. Okay. So all right, take care. Have a nice evening or nice day ahead and then I'll catch you later. Okay, hang on. Just a quick update. I just saw Gaurav sir's message. He's facing some technical issues at his end. And therefore he has requested me to start in 15 minutes. So instead of 12:27 now, let's reconvene at 12:35. So around 12:35 we'll start, so that by then his technical issues are also taken care of. So that's a quick update, and then just join me in 15.
Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. A very good afternoon. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to every one of you. चलिए एक बार देखते हैं. Yes, I can see that I'm audible. All right, I'm live. A very good afternoon to all of you. Friends, sorry for a small delay, but I hope ये जो delay हुआ, because of this delay, you are able to get a break of 15 minutes after solving such difficult questions of verbal ability and reading comprehension, which were taken by Vikrant sir. So please quickly confirm if I am clearly visible and audible to every one of you. Come on. It's okay. Thank you, Willie. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So good afternoon, Athar. All sorted. Yes, yeah, all sorted. Everything is fine now, and we can we are in this complete energy, 100% energy to start off with this session of marathon number 4, whose first part was taken by Vikrant sir, and I shall be continuing with this session. All right. So friends, hoping everything is fine. You all are doing good, and we are just 9 days away from CAT 2025. Slowly. Like, no, it doesn't seem that the time, the day is approaching slowly. So it seems as if we are approaching towards CAT 2025 in a marathon way, right? Okay. So friends, all of you, good afternoon. 9 days, yes, 9 days, only 9 days, and these 9 days will be wiped out in a flick of a second, in a very faster manner, right? So we'll have to make most out of these 9 days. So friends, I shall continue with what we have started in the last session, right? So you must have known, looking at the questions that were discussed by Vikrant sir, that we are discussing the questions from CAT 2024 slot number 3, right? And those students who were there in the previous session, I'm sure most of you were there. So those of you who were there in the previous session, you would remember that we have already discussed three very easy sets from CAT 2024 slot number 3. Now today we are going to discuss the remaining two sets of CAT 2024 slot number 3, and we shall prove one thing from that. Okay. So first of all, let's have a look at what all sets we have discussed in that session. Okay, and then we shall start with the discussion of the remaining two sets. Okay, so let's go. So friends, this is one of the sets in which we have to place the 6 ATMs at these 9 points, 9 intersections. Now we have seen that this particular set was not at all difficult. Having spent 6 to 7 minutes or maximum 8 minutes, we will be able to place all these 6 ATMs. So this was more of an arithmetic kind of set wherein you just have to check the sum of the numbers along the rows and along the columns. Okay, so on this set there were 5 questions, right? And we could easily solve all these 5 questions. There were 2 possibilities that we made. There were 2 different possibilities that were coming in this particular set, and we sailed through this set very easily, right? Now after solving this set number 1, we went for this particular set in which we have to find out like what will be the quantity of carbohydrates, proteins, fats and other nutrients in 100 grams of these grains. The different food grains were given. Okay, there were very basic conditions, not not a lot of data, not a bulky table, very small table was given to us, and we could compare mostly the carbohydrates because there were maximum conditions that were given on carbohydrates and some of them were given on proteins. So once again, 8 to 10 minutes, spending 8 to 10 minutes on this set as well, we were able to find out the values, the missing values in the table. So this was a perfect example of I would say this was a perfect example of the questions in which we have seen the missing tables, right? Okay. Yes. So very easy sets, but slightly time consuming. I would also not agree with you if you're saying that these were time consuming, right? So for me, 8 to 10 minutes, maximum 8 to 10 minutes, if you spend on this set, we will be able to get all the values in this table, right? And on the basis of that, 4 questions, easily done, easily approachable, right? So this estimate that we have done in the last class also, that in less than 30 minutes or in somewhere around 30 minutes, we were able to finish 3 sets. So now look at set number 3. Set number 3 was the number of subscribers of platforms into 3 categories was divided: kids, elders and others. Now this was a very easy set. Okay, maximum 5 to 6 minutes and we were through. All right. Now friends, today I am going to take up the next 2 sets. The next 2 sets in which the data seems to be slightly complex. All right. The data seems to be slightly complex. You would remember this set from CAT 2024 set number 3. So now we are beginning off with this session, and this is the first set on your screen. Now the data, first of all, I divided the data in 3 parts. So this is part number 1, wherein some general condition is given. Then part number 2, wherein a graph was given, which shows the inside temperature between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. that night. And then some specific piece of information. Wait a second, thoda sa blur ho rahi hai screen. Okay, so the entire set was divided in these 3 parts. Okay. हाँ गाइस, बीच में ब्लर हो रहा है तो अब नहीं होगा, डोंट वरी एट ऑल, अब ब्लर नहीं होगा, राइट? नाउ आई विल पुट द एंटायर डेटा ऑन अ सिंगल स्क्रीन. सो नाउ दिस इज द एंटायर पीस ऑफ डेटा ऑन योर स्क्रीन. Read it through for 3 to 4 minutes. Have a look at this and let's start by rating this set. The level of difficulty according to you, on a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult you think this particular set will be. All right. So I'm giving you few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Have a look at this data and then we'll start with the discussion once you have told me about the level of difficulty. So already I am getting 8 to 9. So 8 to 9 mere hisab se, like according to me, or 9 to 10. Atharv says 9 to 10. Aishwarya says 8. Pradeep says 8 to 9. All right, 9, 9, 9, 9. Now, majority of you are rating this at a level of difficulty of 9 out of 10. Now, people, we have already seen 3 very easy sets. Okay. So, it is expected that this type of set will appear in front of us. Okay. Right. So, all of you are believing that this is a high level of difficulty set. Now, this set has 5 questions, as you can see here on the screen. So, there are 5 questions on this set. Okay. So, I'm giving you 1 more minute to have a look at this data before we'll start with the analysis of this data. Okay. Some of you are saying that level of difficulty is 6. Some of you are saying level of difficulty 2. 6 to nahi hai. Prateep is saying that. All right. So people, it's a complex set I have ever viewed. Okay, it's a complex set that I have ever viewed. Ankush is commenting on this. All right, Ankush. So justified. After 3 easy sets, if they are giving a difficult set, then it's absolutely fine. I would say that there is no harm. We have already done 3 sets. We have already secured 95 percentile plus. And then the students who will be able to do this set, they deserve 99 plus percentile or maybe 100 percentile, right? Okay. So in this session, obviously my duty is to solve this particular set in front of you. Okay. We'll have to solve this set. We'll have to tackle. We'll have to understand how to tackle with this set. Okay. So friends, if you permit, with your permission, shall we start with the analysis of this set? Let's try to make it moderate. You are thinking that this is very high level of difficulty. Let's try to make this set a moderate set. All right. And I have heard from a lot of students that sir, जब आप समझाते हो ना तो set easy हो जाता है. तो देखते हैं यार आज का ये set easy होता है या फिर नहीं. So let's see if this gets easier or not. Okay, चलिए. So now, without wasting any time, let's begin solving this set. Or first of all, let's read it through. Let's read through what all important information is given to us. All of you, please focus. 100% focus should be here. Okay. So you may just pick up a rough sheet and a pen. Okay. And just keep doing whatever I'm asking you to do. All right. If you want to make this set easy. So the first line, the air conditioner AC in a large room can be operated either in regular mode or power mode. So there are 2 modes in which this AC operates. Regular mode or power mode to reduce the temperature. So the work of the air conditioner is to reduce the temperature. So whatever the temperature is outside or inside the room, as soon as we'll switch on the AC, the temperature will start reducing. Thandi badhti rahegi. Okay, fine. Now, if the AC operates at regular mode, then it brings down the temperature inside the room at a constant rate to the set temperature in 1 hour. Now, whatever is the current temperature in the room, as soon as I'll start running the AC in the regular mode and whatever temperature I will set, this temperature will be achieved in how many hours? Can you please tell me? On the regular mode, whatever is the temperature, whatever is the current temperature inside the room, let's assume that the current temperature is 40 degrees Celsius inside the room. And I have set the temperature at 32 degrees Celsius. Let's say this is just an example. Okay. So 40 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius, in how much time it will attain? On regular mode, it will attain this temperature in 1 hour. Irrespective of the outside temperature, irrespective of the temperature that we have sent, irrespective of the difference between the outside or the current temperature and the set temperature, whatever temperature we will set, on regular mode, it will attain that temperature in 1 hour. Done? Through? Okay. If it operates in power mode, then this is achieved in 30 minutes, obviously, right? So the same thing will be achieved in 30 minutes if I am operating the air condition in power mode. So in regular mode, the work will be done in 1 hour. In the power mode, the work will be done in half an hour, right? So this is very important. Keep it in mind. If the AC is switched off at any moment, if I switch off the AC, then the inside temperature rises at a constant rate. So whatever temperature right now I have, as soon as I'll switch off the AC, the temperature will keep on increasing. All right, garmi badhti rahegi, the temperature will keep on increasing, right? The inside temperature rises at a constant rate so as to reach the temperature outside at the time of switching off in 1 hour. So now as soon as I'll switch off, okay, the time at which I have switched off the AC, read this line. So the temperature which is outside at the time of switching off the AC will be achieved in 1 hour. For example, let's take an example. Okay. Now let's say I have switched on the AC. So I'm just taking an example. All of you focus on this. So right now the current temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. Okay. And let's say the time is 6 a.m. All of you focus. Please answer this thing. So current temperature is 40 degrees Celsius and time is 6 a.m. Now I'll switch on the AC and set the temperature at 30 degrees Celsius. And I do this on power mode. Right? So tell me at what time this temperature will be achieved. 40 say 30 degrees Celsius. Starting from 40 till 30 degrees Celsius, at what time it will be achieved? Absolutely correct. Very good. It will be achieved at 6:30 a.m. All right, fine. All right. Now, let's say at this time, 6:30, at this time, the outside temperature. So right now the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius inside the room because the AC was working on power mode. Let's say at this time at 6:30, the outside temperature is 35 degrees Celsius and I switch off this AC. All right, I switch off this AC, right? So at what time the outside temperature will be achieved? 30 say 30 degrees Celsius से अब 35 degrees Celsius आ जाएगा. So the time at which I have switched off the AC, 6:30 a.m., the outside temperature is 35. So now the AC from 30 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, it will attain at 7:30 a.m. All right, it will attain the outside temperature at 7:30 a.m. Right? So I can say that the rise in temperature is 5 degrees Celsius in 1 hour. Right? So the time at which it was switched off, whatever temperature was there outside, now the AC will attain that temperature and it will take 1 hour in doing that. Simple as that. I hope I have taken time to explain this particular thing, but I hope majority of you would understand this already, right? Okay. Now let's see what all other points are given. The temperature outside has been falling, outside temperature. The temperature outside has been falling at a constant rate starting from 7 p.m. until 3 a.m. on the particular night, right? On that particular night, the temperature, the outside temperature has been falling at a constant rate. Okay. So whatever outside temperature is, रात जैसे जैसे बढ़ती जा रही है, as the night is progressing, the temperature is dropping at a constant rate, right? Now, what is this rate? We don't know. What is the initial temperature outside? We don't know. We know nothing about the outside temperature, but we know that starting from 7 p.m. up till 3 a.m. on that night, the temperature has been constantly falling. Okay? Okay. The following facts are known about the AC operation that night. The AC was turned on for the first time at 11 p.m. or 2300 hours, right? The way here the time is given. So it was turned on for the first time at 11 p.m. The AC setting was changed, including turning it on off or setting different temperatures only at the beginning of hour or at 30 minutes of the hour. So that means whatever changes that we make, that we want to make in the settings, we want to switch it on, we want to switch it off, we want to change the setting, we want to change the temperature, it can be done only at half an hour intervals. So 11 p.m., 11:30, 12 night, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, and so on. Right? So whatever changes can be done will be done only at the intervals of half an hour. The AC was used in power mode for a longer duration than in regular mode. Last point, you can leave it right now. So let's have a look at what all we have learned up till this point. Okay. So let's do a little analysis and I'll be asking you a few things. So you will have to answer. Okay. Now let's start from 11 o'clock as per the table. Okay. So 11 p.m. then 11:30 p.m., 12 midnight, 00:30 a.m., then 1 o'clock, 1:30, and 2 o'clock. Okay. Now at these times, can you tell me, these are the temperature readings. Okay. So these are the temperature readings inside temperature diya hua hai yahan pe aapko, right, in this graph. So can you tell me all these readings one by one? So at 11 p.m. what is the temperature? Come on, give it to me. At 11 o'clock, what is the temperature? All right, 38. So 38 is the inside temperature. At 11:30, you can say that at this moment, the temperature is this, and at 12 o'clock, the temperature is this. So what is the temperature at 11:30? 11:30, you're saying that it is 32. Absolutely correct. So मैं यहाँ पे 32 लिख देता हूँ. So this temperature is 32. Come on. At 12 o'clock, it is 26 degrees Celsius. Let's copy all these values one by one. So 26 degrees Celsius. At 12:30, it is 31 degrees Celsius. Then 26, then 30, and then 28. All right. ठीक है? So at 12:30, it is 31 degrees Celsius. At 1 o'clock, 26, 30, and 28. So 26, 30, and 28. These are the temperatures. We can say that inside temperatures at these timings. Okay, perfect. Right? Now, we know that as soon as we'll switch off the AC, जैसे ही हम AC को close कर देंगे, as soon as we switch off the AC, the temperature will start increasing. So can you tell me at what all timings the AC must be switched off? At what times we can say that the AC was switched off? Surety से. Absolutely, Sia, very good. So at what times, you can look at this table also. So at what time the AC was definitely switched off? So we know that the AC was switched on for the first time at 11 p.m. So 11 p.m. the AC was switched on. Fine, that was 11 p.m. I'm sorry. So for the first time the AC was switched on at 11 p.m. Correct? Now AC was switched off. As soon as the AC will be switched off at 12 o'clock, the temperature was 26 and it started increasing and it became 31. So the AC was switched off at this time. Correct? Perfect. Also, at 1 a.m. the temperature was 36 and it start increasing and it became 30 degrees Celsius. So the AC was switched off also at 1 a.m. All right. Now, you all tell me what happened to the AC at 12:30 a.m. What happened to the AC? At 12 o'clock, it was switched off. So at what time again it will be switched on? Switch on दोबारा से कितने बजे होगा? Absolutely, Darshna, very good. So at 12:30 the AC was again switched on. Now at 1 a.m. the AC was switched off. So at 1:30 a.m. it will again be switched on, right? So we are changing on, off, on, off, whatever. So at 1:30 a.m. it was again switched on and then it kept running up till 2 o'clock. All right. Now, are you all clear up till this part? Yes or no? अभी तक तो कुछ हमने किया ही नहीं. We haven't done anything up till now, right? So we'll be starting now. The main important thing will be starting now. Okay? Right? Yes or no? All right. Now look at the time when the AC was switched off. The temperature inside the room was 26 degrees Celsius, right? And in half an hour, in 30 minutes, it became 31 degrees Celsius. So can you tell me, all of you looking at that, can you tell me what is the rate of increase in temperature? What is the rate of increase in temperature per hour? In half an hour, the temperature changed from 26 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius. So what is the rate at which temperature is increasing in degrees per hour? In degrees per hour. Careful. I'm asking degrees per hour. So I can say that the temperature has increased by 5 degrees Celsius in half an hour, right? So we can say that the increase will be 10 degrees Celsius in 1 hour. Yes or no? Okay. Now, why I've calculated this in 1 hour? Because I'll go back. It says that if the AC is switched off, then the inside temperature rises at a constant rate so as to reach the temperature outside in 1 hour. So as soon as AC will be switched off, it will automatically start increasing the temperature of the room, right? And whatever temperature is outside, it will be reached in 1 hour. So we can say that in 1 hour, it will increase the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius if it will remain off for 1 hour. So can I say that the temperature outside the room at this point was 26 plus 10, that is 36 degrees Celsius. Yes or no? Paridhi, yes, outside temperature is falling. Right now, I have not considered that. Abhi to main us direction mein, I'm not thinking in that direction. Okay. So statement says that at the time the AC was switched off. Okay. So at this time, whatever outside temperature is, it will be attained at a constant rate in 1 hour. All right. So I can say that the rate of increase at this time as calculated by the AC, as understood by the AC. So AC ne kya kiya? What AC did was, starting from 26, it went to 31 in half an hour. So if I'll keep the AC off for another half an hour, that means a total of 1 hour. That means it will reduce the temperature by a total of 10 degrees Celsius. And hence, right? Sorry, it will increase the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius, and hence from 26 it will attain 36 degrees Celsius in 1 hour. So that means what is 36? 36 is the outside air temperature at the time the AC was switched off. All right, fine. So we can say that outside air temperature 36 degrees Celsius at 12 o'clock. Now people, At 11 a.m., the AC was switched on for the first time. So can you tell me at 11 a.m., when the inside temperature was 38, the AC was switched on. So what would be the outside temperature at the same time at 11 p.m.? Absolutely correct. 38 degrees Celsius. Sangam, careful. So, guys, ये जो है rate of increase है temperature का, right? Okay. So, inside temperature was 38 and the AC was switched on for the first time. So, we can say that this temperature and this temperature will be same. Do you understand that? Yes or no? All right. So the outside temperature was 38 at 11 p.m. and it became 36 at 12 p.m. Right? At 12 midnight. I'm sorry. Right? So we can say that the temperature is reducing at a constant rate and the rate of reducing is 1 degree Celsius in 1 hour. 1 degree Celsius in 1 hour. So from here we are able to calculate the rate of fall of temperature on that night, which was given. The temperature outside has been falling at a constant rate from 7 p.m. until 3 a.m. Okay, right? So now what we have done here is we are able to find out the rate at which outside temperature is falling, which some students mentioned. Okay, fine. So now tell me what will be the temperature, outside temperature at 11:30 p.m. At 11:30 p.m., what will be the outside temperature? Yes, 2 degree. I'm sorry, मैंने 1 बोल दिया. I said 1. So 2 degrees Celsius in 1 hour. So 2 degrees Celsius in 1 hour, right? So half an hour, it will be 1 degree Celsius. So 37 degrees. 38, 37, 36. At 12:30, it will be 35, then 34, then 33, and then 31. All right. Are you all clear up till this part? Yes or no? Perfect. Now tell me up till this point, whatever we have done up till this point, what is your opinion for this question? Easy, moderate, difficult? Whatever we have done up till this point. Sorry, I was checking how many of you are aware, how many of you are awake in this class. 32. Absolutely, 32. Okay? Fine. 32, not 31. So some of you are now seeing that it is very easy, moderate. So I can say that up till this point, from difficult, I have kept it to easy or moderate level. So we have reduced the level of difficulty. The way temperature is reducing, the level of difficulty is also reducing as the time is progressing. All right, fine. Now, if I'll give you a wonderful information that you don't have to do anything now. Out of 5 questions, let's see how many questions can we answer on the basis of whatever we have done up till now. I may have taken 15-20 minutes to explain you, but I was just explaining you. I was taking a lot of time to explain you. I can say that this much of things can be done in less than 5 minutes or maybe maximum 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Okay. And let's see on the basis of whatever we have done up till now, how many questions we can answer. So all of you, if you are clear with this table, look at the first question. So first question on your screen. रुक जाओ, एक एक करके चलते हैं. So how many times the AC must have been turned off between 11:01 p.m. and 1:59 a.m.? How many times the AC must have been turned off between 11:01 p.m. and 1:59 a.m.? I'll take you back to the table. How many times the AC must have been switched off? All of you are saying answer is 2. Switched off at 12 o'clock, switched off at 1 o'clock. After 11 p.m., starting from 11:01 p.m., so 11:01 p.m. and before 2 a.m., that means up till 1:59 a.m. So there are 2 instances when the AC was turned off. So option B is the correct answer. First question done. Okay, on the basis of the time that we have spent up till now. Question number 2. What was the temperature outside in degrees Celsius at 1 a.m.? Absolutely. At 1 a.m., the temperature outside is 34 degrees Celsius. Okay. So we can say that answer will be 34 degrees Celsius. Right? Okay. Done. Now, at 1 a.m., the temperature is 34 degrees Celsius. At 12 o'clock, it was 36 degrees Celsius. At 11 p.m., the temperature was how much? 38 degrees Celsius. This is what we have seen in the table about the outside temperatures, right? So can you tell me at 10 p.m., what will be the outside temperature at 10 p.m.? What was the outside temperature at 10 p.m.? Quickly. Careful. 34, 36, 38. 34, 36, 38. So if you'll go 1 hour back, it would be 40 degrees Celsius, another increase in 2 degrees. And at 9 p.m., what was the temperature at 9 p.m.? Absolutely correct. 42 degrees Celsius. Okay. All right. So here is the third question on your screen. What was the temperature outside in degrees at 9 p.m.? Absolutely. 42 degrees Celsius. No indirect questions, all direct questions. All right. And you were thinking that this set is difficult. Okay. All right. Now I'll go back to the table. I'll go back to the table. All of you tell me inside temperature, outside temperature. Okay. What is the difference between inside and outside at 11 p.m.? At 11 p.m., what is the difference? At 11 p.m., what is the difference? Absolutely, 0 is the difference. Fine. So now I'm taking you to one more question. Question number 5. I've not taken question number 4. Between 1 p.m. and 1:59 a.m., what was the maximum difference between the temperatures outside and inside in degrees Celsius? What was the maximum difference? So maximum difference find out karna hai. So here it is 0, but we don't have to consider this. Here it is 5. Here it is 10. It is maximum up till now. Here it is 4, 8, 3 and 4. So the maximum difference between outside and inside air temperature is 10 degrees Celsius, and that is the answer of question number 5. 10 degrees Celsius. All right. So people, on the basis of spending 4 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, you are able to answer 4 questions. 4. Believe it or not, you are able to answer 4 questions. Right? Okay. So now tell me, is it easy or difficult? So the fourth set, we are looking at the fourth set of slot number 3 of previous year. Right? First 3 sets that we have done were very easy. right, doable sets, and this I think is one more doable set. Okay. Now looking at fourth question. Fourth question क्या बोलता है? What best can be concluded about the number of times the AC must have either been turned off or the AC temperature setting been altered, right? Turned on, right? So they're asking about two things. What best can be concluded about the number of times the AC must have either been turned on or the AC temperature setting been altered between 11:01 and 1:59. So turned on. How many times it was turned on? How many times it was turned on? Come on. People are saying more than 3. Fine. Check. Let's check it out. We should be having a reasoning for that. Okay. So now tell me how many times it was turned on in this duration. In this duration, how many times it was turned on? So let's check it out from the table. So it was turned on at 12:30 and at 1:30. So twice it was turned on. Okay, right? So it was turned on twice and the AC temperature setting been altered. So temperature setting, how many times it was altered? Now this is the question for which we'll have to spend a little bit time. So let's go back. Now all of you tell me yes or no. Do you remember regular mode and power mode? Regular mode and power mode. Yes, you would remember. In regular mode, the temperature will be attained in 1 hour, and in power mode, the temperature will be attained in half an hour, right? This is what we remember. Okay. Now, AC was working in which all durations? So AC was switched on, it was working in this half an hour duration. Again, it was working in this half an hour duration, right? The AC, when switched off, is not working in this half an hour duration. मैंने cross लगा दिया, I have put a cross, is not working here. Then AC is working in this half an hour duration. Again, it is switched off for half an hour. So it is not working in this duration. And AC is working in this duration. So between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., for how many hours the AC was switched on? For how many hours? Absolutely 2 hours, half an hour, half an hour, half an hour, half an hour. So I can say that 4 intervals of 30 minutes, right? Or you can say that a total of 2 hours, right? Now, why I'm not writing 2 hours, why I'm writing 4 intervals of 30 minutes? Because we know that the AC will be either switched on or switched off, or the temperature setting is changed only at the intervals of half an hour, right? This was given to us. Done? So we have 4 intervals of 30 minutes, right? Now look at the bottom screen, bottom of the screen. The AC was used in power mode for a longer duration than in the regular mode. So can you tell me what can be the possibilities? Out of 4, how many intervals will be for power mode and how many intervals will be for regular mode the AC will be working for? Come on. For how many intervals it was working on power mode out of 4 intervals, and for how many intervals it was working on regular mode? So the AC was used in power mode for a longer duration. So power mode for longer duration. So I can say that regular mode, it cannot be 1 hour or more than 1 hour, right? So we have 4 intervals. So for power mode, it should be more. So either it can be 3-1 or it can be 4-0, right? So these are the only two possibilities. Fine. These are the only two possibilities. Correct? Now we can say that we have to find out how many times the AC setting has been changed or it was turned on. So we'll be looking at this instance. So this instance, we can say that it was turned on. This instance, it was turned off. This instance, which was turned on, right? Okay. Now this instance, it was turned off. Now we are just looking at what happened at this point in time. So on, we have already obtained it twice. Now we just don't know about what happened at 11:30, right? So after 11:01 p.m., we have 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1 and 1:30. Now these 4 instances, if I look at these 4 instances, I have a clarity off, on, off, on. We just don't know about this particular instance, what happened at this instance. AC was not turned off, AC was already on. So that means either the setting was changed or the setting was not changed. Okay, right? Perfect. Now, since we know that for power mode, it will be either 3 or 4 times. For power mode, it will be either 3 or 4 times. So, can I say that in this duration and in this duration, both cannot be regular modes. Both cannot be regular modes. At least one इसमें से power mode होगा ही, right? At least one power mode होगा. So it can be either regular power or it can be power regular. All right. In both cases, the setting was changed at 11:30 p.m. Right? In both cases, the setting was changed at 11:30 p.m. ओके सो यहां पे ये दो केसेस अगर होते हैं तो सेटिंग डेफिनेटली चेंज हुई है, सेटिंग वाज चेंज्ड एट 11:30 पीएम, or else it can be both the power modes. Now power mode will complete its work in half an hour. So that means if I'll set the AC at power mode at 11 p.m. so I'll have to set the temperature of 32 degrees Celsius and it will be attained in half an hour. Then again at this point at 11:30 p.m. I'll have to again set it on power mode and change the temperature setting to 26. So that means temperature setting was definitely changed at 11:30. So 11:30 at this instance, which I am finding out, the power setting or the temperature setting has definitely been altered, and hence we can say that it has happened 3 times. Yes. So answer will be 3 in this case. So there was only one question that required a little bit of work to be done. Otherwise, the remaining 4 questions were very easy. Okay. Now, shall we move on to the next set? Yes or no? Okay. So some of you are asking me to repeat that. Chalo, I'll repeat. Okay. Quickly, I take 2-3 minutes and will repeat it once again. Now we already know at this time the AC was off, on, off, on. We have to find out between 11:1 and 1:59 how many times the AC was switched on or the temperature setting was altered. Okay. So between 11:1 and 1:59, only these time instances are there. 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1, 1:30, only these 5 instances are there where the changes would be done. Out of these 5 time instances, we are clear about these 4. AC off, on, off, on. Out of these 4, 2 will be considered. We have already considered these 2 instances in the question, and we just need to know what happened at this time, right? Okay. Now from 11 p.m. till 11:30 p.m. and then from 11:30 till 12 midnight. These are the 2 durations in which we'll have to understand what has happened. Okay. Now we know that power mode and regular mode. Power mode either 3 or 4 times, right? So in these instances, both modes cannot be regular. So there can be 3 possibilities: power mode here, regular mode here, regular mode here, power mode here, or both these modes will be power in these 2 durations. Yes or no? Do you understand these 3 things? Yes or no? Jisne bhi, whosoever has asked the question. So Sujal and Aditya. Sujal and Aditya. Perfect? Okay. Now, if it was power mode earlier and then regular mode, that means the temperature setting has changed at this time, right? If it was regular and then power mode, that means again the temperature setting was changed at 11:30, right? Do you understand? In the first 2 cases, it is clear because the mode is changing. The mode is changing. That means we are making something with the remote control. We just have to see that have we done something with the remote control or not. Okay, so at 11:30 in both the cases, in first and second case, the setting has been changed at 11:30. Understood? Aditya, Sujal? Okay, now let's talk about the third case. In the third case, when both of them are power mode. So, if at 11 p.m. we have kept the AC at power mode, and we know that whatever temperature setting we will do, it will attain that temperature in half an hour. So in half an hour on power mode, it has attained 32 degrees Celsius. So that means at 11 p.m. when we kept the AC on the power mode, the temperature setting was 32 degrees Celsius, right? And then at 11:30, because half an hour it will attain that temperature. Then at again 11:30 to 12, the temperature has gone down to 26. So again in power mode, it will attain this 26 degrees Celsius in half an hour. So that means at 11:30, we leave it in the power mode, but we change the temperature setting to 26 degrees Celsius, right? And hence we can say that the temperature setting was again changed at 11:30. So 11:30, definitely we have done something with the remote control. All right. Yes, Atharv, 11:1 se leke 1:59 the time is. So that's why I'm not considering 11 p.m. 11 p.m. pe whatever has happened, I'm not considering that. Okay. So that means 11:30 definitely something has happened. So answer will be exactly 3. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the last set, the third set, all of you. Sorry, the fifth set, the last set. Now this is last set. We have seen the first 4 sets doable. The set that we have done just now, out of 5, we could easily do 4 questions. There was one question, question number 4, for which we'll have to spend our brain, we'll have to spend our time. We can easily take a decision to leave that question number 4. Okay. Now let's move on to the last set of the day and of this slot. So again, give me your opinion about the level of difficulty of this set. So read it through, and after reading only, please comment on the level of difficulty from 1 to 10. A lot of numbers, a lot of data. Mayank says 2 on 10, very easy set, right Mayank? All right. 8 on 10, 3 on 10. Calculative, Sujal says 8 on 10. Iru says, sir, मैंने try किया था, मुझसे नहीं हुआ. All right, Iru. So again, mixed reaction, mixed opinion about this. And we have 4 questions on this set. Okay. So let's start with the analysis, all of you. So if you are thinking that this is very difficult, 8 on 10, 9 on 10, let's try to make it easy. Okay. Out of 10 countries, country 1 through country 10, country 9 has the highest GDP. Country 9 has highest GDP. So we are given GDP, but country 9 is not given. So out of 10 countries, country 9 has the highest GDP. All right. And country 10 has the highest GDP per capita. GDP per capita is highest for country 10. Data is again not given. Okay. GDP per capita is GDP of the country divided by its population. So GDP divided by population is GDP per capita, right? Simple. We know all these terms. The table below provides the information following information about country 1 to country 8 for the year 2024. The year is 2024. Now we know that out of these 10 countries, country 9 has the highest GDP and country 10 has highest GDP per capita. Okay. The other 2 columns, let's understand what are these columns. So column 1 gives the country's identity, country 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Column 2, column 3 are very important. Column 2 gives the country's GDP as the fraction of the GDP of country 9. So tell me one thing, if I'll assume that the GDP of country 9 is X, column 2 gives country's GDP as the fraction of GDP of country 9. If GDP of country 9 is X, then can I say that GDP of country 1 up till country 8 will be 0.15x, 0.14x, x, 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 just x इनके आगे लगा दिया मैंने, right? So yes or no, do you understand this thing? Yes or no? I'll explain column number 3. Don't worry at all. So do you understand this thing? Right? Okay. Then if I'll assume that for country 10, GDP per capita means GDP of the country divided by the total population of that country. If this is Y, then the GDP per capita of all these countries will be this much. Yes or no? I'll just put Y in front of every country. Right? Okay. So let's insert the 2 countries in this table. Let's insert the 2 countries in this table. So country 9 and country 10. Now for country 9, I'll assume GDP as X. For country 10, I'll assume GDP per capita as Y. So GDP for these countries will be 1.15x, x, x, x. I'll put X everywhere and here I'll put Y everywhere. Okay. Perfect. यहां तक कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए. You should be very clear up till this part. Now, the third column gives the country's GDP per capita. Sorry, column 3 हो गया. GDP per capita as the fraction of GDP per capita of country 10. Fine. Now, column number 4 is GDP growth rate for country 1, and column number 5 is population growth rate, the rate at which the population is changing. Okay. Now, assume that GDP growth rates and population growth rates for the countries will remain constant for the next 3 years. So, next 3 years, GDP will change by the same rate for the countries, and population will change by the same rate for every country. All right. Now, are you all clear with the data up till now? Data clear hai, yes or no, before we move on to the questions? Okay, so I'll quickly copy this data with all the questions, and let's see how difficult or how easy the questions are. Okay, so we have worked on the data jitna hum kar sakte the, and let's have a look at the first question. Which among the countries 1 through 8, so out of countries 1 through 8, which of them has the smallest population in 2024? Which of the countries has the smallest population? Now, we have finite options. Okay. Now, understand that how can we calculate population? So, GDP per capita is GDP divided by population. Okay. So, how can we calculate population using this? How can we calculate population? GDP per capita is GDP divided by population. So, to calculate population, we can cross multiply. We can take population on the left hand side and GDP per capita downwards. So, GDP divided by GDP per capita. Okay. So, population of any country will be GDP divided by GDP per capita. Understood? So, can you tell me in terms of X and Y, what will be the population of country 5? Country 5's population. It has to be GDP divided by GDP per capita. So, for country 5, GDP is 0.10, X divided by its GDP per capita is 0.36, Y. All right. Now, similarly for country 7, what will be the same thing for country 7? Come on, all of you. Country 7, it will be 0.08 upon 0.30. Now, is it necessary to write 0.08? Can I write it as 8 upon 30? 8 upon 30. Also, in every case, we will be having X upon Y. So why to write X upon Y? Because it will be present in every case. So I can also skip writing X upon Y, right? So at this instance, when we are just few days away from CAT, when I can say that your level has certainly improved, we can directly write these fractions. So for country 5, I will write 10 upon 36. Country 7, I write 8 upon 30. For country 8, 7 upon 41. And for country 3, it will be 13 upon 2. And we'll have to find out the lowest value, the smallest value. So can you tell me out of these values, which is the smallest? Obviously, country 3, 13 upon 2 is not the smallest. ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ी value है as compared to these, because all the first 3 values are less than 1. This value is greater than 1. So this is not the least. Out of these 3 values, the smallest numerator and the largest denominator. It's clear, evident in front of us that 7 upon 41 is the lowest of all the values. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Right? So, option C is definitely a correct answer. We haven't spent a lot of time on the table. There was nothing to do in this table, right? So 2 minutes, after 2 minutes, we have got the answer, or maximum 3 minutes, 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, we are able to solve first question. Okay. Next question, question number 2. The ratio of country 4's GDP to country 5's GDP in 2026 will be closest to. Now, all of you, do you have calculator right now? Do you have access of calculator right now? अभी है calculator तुम लोगों के पास? So country 4's GDP, so country 4 GDP in terms of X is 0.12x. But this GDP is in 2024. I want the GDP after 2 years. Now, rate of increase in GDP is 0.5 percentage, 0.5 percentage. So I can say that this will be multiplied by 1.0, how much? 1.005 twice, do bar. So half percentage, it is increasing by half percentage. So it will be multiplied by 1.005. So multiplication factor, because it is 0.5 percentage, half percentage. Okay. So this will be the multiplication factor. Now for country 5, the GDP original was 0.10x and it will increase twice by 0.7 percentage. So 1.007 multiplied by 1.007, right? So quickly do the calculation and tell me what is the answer of this. चलो calculator open करते हैं. Okay, so I'll do the calculation here. So we have 0.12 multiplied by 1.005 multiplied by 1.005 divided by 0.1 divided by 1.007 divided by 1.007, and that is equal to 1.195. 1.195, calculator says 1.195. This is what calculator is telling us. Okay, so 1.195, option C is the correct answer. Again, hardly 1 minute, जो भी काम करना है calculator करेगा, हमें कुछ नहीं करना. Okay, so once again I would say an easy question, question number 2. Okay, right? Now let's move on to the third question. Which one amongst the countries 1, 4, 5 and 7 have the largest population in 2027? Largest population in 2027. So I'll calculate the population for these countries in the current year, okay, 2024. Now 2024 population, how the population will be calculated? GDP divided by GDP per capita. GDP divided by GDP per capita is how we can find the population. So for country 5, the population will be 10 upon 36, right? Country 5 population is 10 upon 36 in the first year. I need the population in 2027. Now for country 5, the rate at which population is changing is 0.31 percentage, right? So the multiplication factor for this will be 1.0031 and I will have cube for this, okay, raised to the power 3. Country 4. Country 4, it is 12 upon 38. And then for country 4, the population is changing at a rate of 0.49 percentage. So 1.0049 power 3. The change happening for 3 years. 2024 say 2025, then 26, then 27. So that's why cubic power. For country 1, 15 upon 41. And then rate is this much, right? So 0.12 with a negative, right? Okay. So how much this will be? Can you tell me the multiplication factor here? All of you, can you tell me the multiplication factor here? Yes, multiplication factor, I'm waiting for all of you. 0.12 percentage. It will be 0.9988 Q. So it will be 1 minus 0.12 divided by 100. This is how we calculate the factor. So that is 1 minus 12 upon 10,000. You just have to do the calculations using calculator. Okay. So this is how we'll calculate the multiplication factor. So 1 minus 12 upon 1000. So that is 1 minus 0.0012. So that is 0.9988. Okay. Right. Chalo. So let's move ahead and look at the last value. The last value, country 7, 8 upon 30. Country 7, 8 upon 30, and again a negative change, right? So 0.9989 power 3. Okay, perfect. Now we'll have to find out of these which has the largest population in 2027. So out of these numbers, which will be the largest number? Okay. Now, focus one by one. Focus one by one. 10 upon 36, can we compare these numbers directly? Okay, so these two values are increasing and these two values are decreasing, right? Now, if you look at these changes, can I say that in 3 years, these changes will be negligible? बहुत negligible change होंगे. अगर now, if you want to find out the answer using approximations, if you don't want to get into the calculator, so you can easily do this with calculator. The calculator is given to us, right? So first of all, if we'll use the calculator, फिर तो cat भी लगेगा. Yes, calculator. So you will require time in calculations. It will be done by calculator. So hardly for one calculation, you will require 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So definitely these 4 can be done in less than 2 minutes and you have the answer in 2 minutes. ये चीज सोचो, you have the answer in 2 minutes even if you'll spend 25 to 30 seconds on each of these calculations. Okay, fine. Now for country 1 कैसे calculate हुआ, I'll tell you. All of you, let's understand these multiplication factors and then I'll leave the calculation to be done by yourself. You can use calculator. Okay. Now I'll explain two things, first and third, these two. Okay. So country 5, the increase was 0.31 percentage. So multiplication factor will become 1 plus 0.31 divided by 100. Okay. So 1 plus 0.31 divided by 100, that is 0.0031. Okay, add these two, you will get the first multiplication factor. About this case, since it's a decrease, 0.12% decrease. So it will be 1 minus 0.12 divided by 100. That is 1 minus 0.0012. And calculate this, 1 minus 0012, 1 minus 0.0012, it will give you 0.9988. Clear? Okay. Now let's move on towards the last question of this slot. For how many countries among 1 through 8 countries, will the GDP per capita in 2027 be lower than that in 2024? Now, this is a very easy question. What is GDP per capita? GDP per capita is GDP divided by population. Okay? Now, the change in growth, the GDP change is given, the rate is 0.2 percentage, and here it is population change by 0.12. All right. Now, this is GDP per capita. Now, we have to find out for how many countries GDP per capita be lower than in 2024. For how many cases the GDP per capita is decreasing. Now, the change of GDP per capita is not given directly. You are given the change in numerator and change in denominator. Okay. Now, all of you tell me what will happen to the value if numerator will increase and denominator will decrease. What will happen to the value if numerator will increase and denominator will decrease? The value will increase or the value will decrease? Absolutely good. The value will increase. Okay, numerator increase कर रहा है, denominator decrease कर रहा है, the final value will increase. On the other hand, if numerator will decrease and denominator will increase, what will happen to the value? All right, numerator decrease कर रहा है, denominator increase कर रहा है, final value will decrease. Now these are two cases in which we can easily calculate the values की increase होगा या decrease होगा. But let's see, there is a case when both numerator and denominator are going in the same direction or going in the opposite direction, right? So it will depend on the rate at which the numerator and denominator are changing. So let's say numerator increases by 3% and denominator increases by 2%. न्यूमरेटर का चेंज ज्यादा है, डिनोमिनेटर का चेंज कम है, दोनों इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं, बट न्यूमरेटर ज्यादा से चेंज हो रहा है, डिनोमिनेटर कम से इंक्रीज हो रहा है. So now in this case, what will happen to the value? The value will increase or the value will decrease? So if increase in numerator is more than increase in denominator, the value will increase. If the increase in numerator is less and increase or change in denominator is more, then the value will decrease. All right, fine. Now all of you tell me, for the first case, न्यूमरेटर इंक्रीजेस बाय 0.2 परसेंटेज इंक्रीज हो रहा है न्यूमरेटर, एंड डिनोमिनेटर डिक्रीज हो रहा है. तो डिनोमिनेटर डिक्रीज हो रहा है बाय नेगेटिव, so decrease by 0.12 percentage. So in this case, the GDP per capita, will it increase or will it decrease? In the first case, what will happen to GDP per capita? Will it increase or decrease? So change in numerator increase हो रहा है, numerator increase हो रहा है, denominator decrease हो रहा है, so the value will increase. So country one, the value will increase, right? So country one, the value will increase. I will not consider country one because I want the value to decrease. Value decrease करनी चाहिए, ठीक है? Country two, numerator and denominator. Can you tell me what will happen? The value will increase or decrease? एक सेकेंड, टेबल का साइज थोड़ा सा इंक्रीज कर देते हैं. All right. So now all of you. Now country one is eliminated. Country one is eliminated because the value will increase. Country two, change in numerator is more and denominator decrease हो रहा है. तो numerator increase, denominator decrease, the value will increase. Country two will be eliminated. Country three पे आते हैं. न्यूमरेटर इंक्रीज हो रहा है, डिनोमिनेटर भी इंक्रीज हो रहा है, बट द चेंज इन न्यूमरेटर इज हायर, द इंक्रीज इन न्यूमरेटर इज हायर एंड इंक्रीज इन डिनोमिनेटर इज लोअर. सो अगेन वैल्यू विल गो अप. सो कंट्री थ्री विल ऑल्सो नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड. कंट्री फोर, increase and increase, but increase in numerator is more than the increase in denominator. So country 4 not considered. Country 5 0.7 0.31, again numerator का increase ज्यादा है, country 5 will not be considered. Now 6 7 8, consider any of these countries and tell me कौन सी ऐसी country होगी in which country the value will decrease. अभी तक पांचों कंट्रीज में वैल्यू इंक्रीज हो रही है. सो आउट ऑफ द रिमेनिंग थ्री कंट्रीज, कंट्री 6, कंट्री 7, कंट्री 8, इन विच ऑफ दीज कंट्रीज द वैल्यू ऑफ जीडीपी पर कैपिटा विल डिक्रीज? सो यू आर सेइंग नो कंट्री. ऑलराइट, कंट्री 6 को देखते हैं. कंट्री 6 3.2 एंड 0.61. Again, increase in numerator is higher as compared to increase in denominator. Okay, so country 6 को भी eliminate कर दिया. Country 7 0.7 increase हुआ है, but यहां पे decrease हुआ है. Numerator बढ़ा है, denominator घटा है. Not for country 7. Country 8, the last country, 1.2 percentage increase, 0.71. The change in numerator is higher. The increase in numerator is higher as compared to increase in denominator. Country 8, the value will also not decrease. Okay, so I can say that for how many countries? For none of the countries. For 0 country, this particular thing will happen. All right, so we can say that again, this is the next question in which we have done just the observation. So in this particular set, question number 4 was a set based on observation, right? Can be handled if the concept clarity is there in your mind. You can finish it in 1 minute. Question number 3 will require some calculation, 2 to 3 minutes. Question number 2, it required calculation but very basic amount of calculation. Again, it can be handled in 2 minutes, right? And question number 1 can be handled in 1 minute. So 8 to 10 minutes, this set is also over, right? So we can say that out of all the 5 sets that I saw in slot number 3, all the sets, all 5 sets were easy, were doable. I'll not say easy, but they were doable. They were somewhere from easy to moderate level of difficulty. I could not find any complete set which was difficult. Yes, 1 or 2 odd questions were difficult from some of the sets, like set number 4 and set number 5 that we have done today, right? But majority of questions were doable. So in the first set that we have discussed today, AC switch on, switch off, 4 questions were easy, 1 question was tough. Okay, so 4 questions finish karo, next set pe aao. And then in the last set, 3 questions were easy, 1 question calculative. I'll say that 1 question was also easy, but it was calculative. So use calculator and also find out the answer of that question, right? So slot 3 definitely was easiest among all the 3 slots, but this cannot be generalized, my dear friends. Okay, so last set sahi tha. Yes, definitely last set sahi tha. So all of you, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, it was a pure game of observations in the last set. Now we got scared after looking at such big numbers. So friends, my advice for all of you before we call it a day, don't judge any of the sets just by the looks of that set. If the data is more, if the data is less. So what we were doing in today's class, I was asking you, just read the data and tell me the set is easy or not. So you just after looking at the set, after looking at the data only, you were making an opinion if the set was easy or difficult. This cannot be done. You can do it after looking at the questions in each of the sets, right? So enter the set, look at how complex, how easy, how moderate it is, and then take a decision if you want to do that set, if you want to attempt that set or not, right? CAT 2019 ke set. Now, Sia, can you please mention any particular set of 2019 that you want me to do? Now, a lot of people are saying 2019, 2019, 2019. Okay, so let me take 1 or 2 sets of 2019 in the lecture, in the session that I'm taking on Sunday. So friends, on Sunday at 11 a.m., I'm taking 1 LRDI marathon. Okay, so चलिए जो 2 सेट जो आपको ठीक लगे, फाइन सिया. So Sia, 2019, CAT 2019, I'll pick some of the sets, 2-3 sets from my side, and we'll be doing those sets on Sunday, right? Sunday definitely, otherwise I have another marathon with all of you on Tuesday. So Sunday and Tuesday, these 2 days combined, will be taking some sets of 2019. All right, fine. So definitely I promise you that we'll be doing it on Sunday or Tuesday. So combining these 2 days, the marathon that I'm taking, I'll try to take up 4 to 5 sets from 2019. All right. So that's all, friends, from my side, from my end. I'll see you on Sunday at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. We'll see you on Sunday with yet another marathon that will be exclusively for LRDI. All right. So that's all from my side, my dear friends. Have a good day. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.